Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Espresso with me, Darius Luchauskas. Today is the 28th of May 2018. So I hope you had a great weekend, everybody. We're gonna have a look at the markets. Have a look at them, how they closed on Friday, what levels to watch out for this week. So yeah, as usual. But before we jump into the charts, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content of this webinar does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. So, also before we jump into the charts, quick reminder of our JFD Brokers research page here, which we update on a daily basis, and we throw out different trading shout-outs, different technical analysis, and of course our daily analysis as well. So yeah, feel free guys to come over and visit us, and I think you can find something useful for yourself. So, but for now, let's have a look at the markets. So the first one I want to start looking at is the DAX, and the DAX continues to trade outside of this rising channel formation that we broke out last week. And currently, of course, we're seeing this, we saw this move here on Friday back towards this bottom side of the rising channel where we got rejected, and we're currently sitting here at around this area, slightly below the psychological 13,000. Certainly this is more of a bearish signal now, and for us to we would be looking for another move lower here, maybe even towards this 12,830 mark initially, and a break below that could send this index a little bit lower towards the 12,750 approximately there, where it could also test the 200 EMA line, which is shown here as a black line on the daily chart. Slightly below that, we do have another good area of support, which is around the 12,600, and if we do get a move towards that, it would also probably at that point would coincide with the lower bound of the Bollinger Band. So keep an eye on this one, guys. I mean, for us to become more bullish on this one, we would need to see a nice break above the psychological 13,000, and then eventually a move inside of the rising channel here, and then probably we'll be aiming for this area right here at around 13,135, a break of which could send this index a little bit higher. So for now, of course, the upside is slightly off the table until we see a nice break inside of this rising channel again. But until then, we are more let's say skeptical on this one, and we could end up moving a little bit lower. Let's have a quick look at the Nikkei. Just to remind you guys, by the way, today the US and the UK are not open, so yep, not a lot of activity is going to be here coming from the US or UK. So let's have a look at the Nikkei then first. So the Nikkei now is has broken out of this rising wedge formation. We broke out from this one on Wednesday last week, and now we moved lower. We're currently slightly below this 21 EMA, which also kind of indicates more of a bearish sign. We're stuck in this little range here between the 22,560 and the 22,350 approximately there. Once we get out of it, I mean, if we're gonna get out of through the upside, we could end up breaking this 21 EMA, and then maybe pushing a little bit higher. Certainly watch, if we do get a scenario like this, then keep an eye on this previous high here at around the 23,040 and 40 approximately there, as the next potential level on the upside, a break of which could push this a little bit higher again. But for now, this is quite a big path for this one to make. Certainly keep an eye on this lower side of this small little range here that we've got, and keep an eye on this 22,350 approximately there. A break below that could send this index a little bit lower, maybe towards even the 22,100 approximately there. We could get a test of this area. Also, we could get a test of this 50 EMA here that's approaching that line. Slightly below that, we do have the stronger one, the 200 EMA here. We can see that in the past, the index kind of bounced around that. It acted as a good level of support and then resistance eventually. So we could maybe see another test of this 200 EMA only if we see a nice break here below the 22,350, and then eventually a breakup below the 22,100. So keep an eye on this one, guys. This could end up being an interesting trade. Let's quickly have a look at gold, and gold is moving nicely away from this area right here. I was talking about this area last week, the 1307. I said to you guys to keep an eye on it, because if we get a nice break above this, then well, this could end up moving higher. But it got rejected here, and we can see that the Friday's candle closed in the bearish zone, in the red zone, and now we're pushing lower again, currently aiming for this area right here again, the 1290. Could act as a good level of support initially. This would also coincide with the upwards moving trend line here that we've got running since around this mid-December 2016. So of course, if we do get to this line, guys, I mean, keep an eye on it, because if we do get a nice break here and eventually a close below this line, well, this could probably look ugly for gold, and we could end up moving lower. The next target that we got here is the 1280, and slightly below that we do have another upwards moving trend line here that was drawn here from the July 2017. So keep an eye on this, guys. I mean, keep an eye on these levels, but of course first keep an eye on this 1290 mark. Let's have a look at US oil. Now, US oil is moving nicely to the downside. I mean, I was talking about this one last week, and I was telling you guys to keep an eye on this steep upwards moving support line here. We managed to break that on Thursday, and on Friday we got this nice candle to the downside here, and now we're of course moving lower. We initially on Friday it met its support here at the 50 EMA. But now we can see that, yeah, it continues to push lower, and the next target that we've got here is this upwards moving trend line here that could get tested. This could act as a nice bouncing ground, maybe for a bit of a correction to the upside again. But for now, like I said, keep an eye on this level, guys, on this upwards moving trend line. And a nice area to watch here would be the 65.55 mark. So a break below that could send this commodity even lower. So for now, guys, all eyes are on this trend line. Let me just quickly highlight that for you guys. There we go. And a break below that could send this commodity a little bit lower. So for now, just observe this, and we're just going to be observing this and just see what it wants to do with this level. Looking at DXY, and DXY is pushing lower here, and testing this upwards moving steep upwards moving support line, a break of which could end up pushing this well, let's say pulling this index a little bit lower. So US dollar is certainly, like I said, feeling the heat today, and we could end up moving lower here if we do get a nice break below this steep upwards moving support line. So keep an eye on this, guys. I mean, keep an eye on this level right here. Probably let me just highlight that for you to make it more clear. Certainly, if we do get some sort of reversal back to the upside, for us to kind of become more bullish on this one, we would need to see a nice break here above these highs and at around 94.30 mark, approximately there. Let me just kind of redraw this line quickly. There we go. Oops, something's happening. Oh, right, there we go. So there we go. The 94.30, keep an eye on this one, guys. If we do get a nice push above this 94.30 mark, well, this could end up moving towards this next area of resistance at around 94.65. Certainly the upside scenario for now, just judging by this picture, is off the table. So just keep an eye on this level here. Keep an eye on this upwards moving support line, and let's see if it breaks it or not. If it does, then well, it is opening the path towards this 93.30 mark, approximately there, as the next potential area of support. Looking at the euro dollar, you probably could understand that if the DXY is moving lower, then the euro dollar is pushing higher nicely, and currently testing the 117.150 mark, sorry, 117.200 mark, approximately there. If this continues like this today, we could end up testing this downwards moving trend line here. We could be testing that from underneath, and of course, if we're gonna get a close somewhere next to it, certainly that's not gonna be next to it, but slightly below this trend line, then of course it doesn't mean that now it's gonna be more of a bearish signal. We could end up the next candle, tomorrow's candle, outside of this trend line, and that would then be more of a bullish sign, which could open the path here towards this area, towards the 128 to 118.200. Excuse me, guys. So 118.200. Keep an eye on this one. That is, of course, we're going to consider that level only if we get a nice break here above this downwards moving trend line. If for some reason this this trend line is going to continue to hold, I mean, certainly this is probably not going to be looking good for the euro, and we could end up pulling lower again. We watch out for this 116.900 level again. A break below that could send this towards these recent lows here that we had on the pair at around the 116.500, something like that. A break below that could open the path towards this 115.500. Certainly, but for now, judging by this picture right now, just like I said, keep an eye on this downwards moving trend line, and let's see if it tests it or not. Quickly, let's have a look at GBP USD, and GBP USD is showing us a similar story, moving higher a little bit. It's, of course, it's closer to its downwards moving trend line, and we're now going to be testing probably this this trend line from underneath. Certainly, if this is going to continue to hold, then watch out for this level right here at around 133. So a nice break below the 133 mark could send this pair a little bit lower, maybe even towards this 132.200. Sorry, excuse me there. So 132.200. Keep an eye on that one if we get a nice break below the 133. Certainly, if we'll start breaking this downwards moving trend line to the upside, watch out for this 133.900 mark. A break above that level could open the path towards this 134.55 level that I kept talking about in my previous videos last week and the week before that, and this acted as a good level of support initially. Now it could act as a good level of resistance. So if we do get a nice break above this 134.55, then well, it's opening the path towards higher levels again. So of course, for now, we're just going to consider, well, we're going to be observing this downwards moving trend line first, because we would need to see a nice break of that before we start seeing, considering these higher levels. Let's quickly have a look at the Aussie dollar now. Aussie dollar against the US dollar, and certainly, of course, we can see that the DXY, the US dollar, is kind of weakening a little bit right now. You can see that is reflected in the Aussie AUD USD. So now, of course, for us to kind of need to become more bullish on this one, we would need to see a nice move here above this level right there. Let me just quickly highlight this. Oh, there we go. So the 0.75900 approximately there could push this pair a little bit higher here, maybe even towards this 0.76200 approximately there, which coincides with the 50 EMA here on the daily chart, and a break above that, well, could open the path towards higher levels, and especially we could end up testing maybe this upwards moving trend line here, this long-term upwards moving trend line that has been running since January 2016. So for now, of course, before we jump into this into testing this upwards moving trend line from underneath, we first need to see nice breaks here above these key levels of resistance here. The first one, of course, being the 0.75900. On the downside, we do have this upwards moving support line running here, this short-term upwards moving support line. Now, if we do get a reversal back down, if we start closing below the 0.75600, keep an eye on this support line, guys, and we could end up testing that one again. But for that, of course, like I said, we need to see a nice close today below the 0.75600. And probably one more last pair. The interesting one is the NZD USD. So it's currently sitting at around this 21 EMA here on the daily chart. And of course, if we do get a nice move here above this, we could start considering this level right here is the 0.69850, approximately there. Now a break above that could send this pair a little bit higher, maybe even testing this upper bound of the Bollinger Band, or even actually this 0.7550, approximately there, as the next potential. We could consider that as the next potential area of resistance. So, but for now, of course, keep an eye on this 21 EMA. Let's see if it moves above that. If it does, then watch this next level, this next area of resistance is 0.69850. On the downside, we would need to see a nice strong reversal back down towards the 0.69 mark, and eventually, if we see a nice break below the 0.69 mark, we could end up moving lower here and moving towards this 0.68500. So for now, guys, just keep an eye on these levels, and I hope you have a good day today. I understand that like I said, there's not a lot of action happening today in the markets, but nevertheless, we could maybe squeeze something out of them. And yeah, as always, keep an eye on the price action, guys, and thank you very much. Bye bye.